Now, one of the things I want you to understand is that there are two concepts or two methods of making money. The first is called linear income, and the second is residual income. Linear income is when you work for the money. Residual income is when your money works for the money. Obviously, which type of income would you rather have? Residual income. But don't make a decisive decision right now. I merely want you to understand that there are two types of income. Now, we would prefer residual income, but I'm also going to tell you that if you have inside you what it takes to be a winner, to be successful, you'll never stop working no matter how much residual income you have coming in. Now, there are two types of linear income. One is called time for money, and the other is called results for money. You really need to understand the difference between these two. Time for money means you have a job. You're exchanging a certain number of hours of time for a paycheck. Let's just say 40 hours. When you get your first job, it might be at McDonald's, Burger King, or whatever. My first job was working for my dad's large construction company. It was simple. I gave his company hours, they gave me a paycheck. And by the way, was your first paycheck anywhere near what your paycheck is today? No. And why is that? Well, inflation is one thing, but basically the reason most jobs you get in the beginning don't pay as much is because all they need is a body that can say, "Would you like fries with that?" See, we fill a time slot. Your early paychecks were for a lot less money because first jobs usually don't require very much skill. People spend their entire lives trying to get more money for the same thing. You want to give 40 hours, but you want a bigger paycheck. Why would someone give you a bigger paycheck if you're going to give them the same thing, which is 40 hours? It's because you have more experience, you have more education, more knowledge, and communication skills. You have a higher skill set and know how to do more things. Would you like to know how to double your income next week? Here's the answer. Go out and get a second job doing the same thing that you're doing in your first job. Now, wouldn't that work? Well, that would work. If you want to make more money, give them more time. No. I don't want you to do that. I know a lot of people who have 2 and 3 jobs, and it's not to become wealthy. It's just to break even. As well off as some of my uncles were, there was one in particular who just worked for the man, or men if you will. He had 3 hourly jobs just to keep up with everyone else around him. Instead, you learn what works. Learn that you don't have to give them extra time if you can give them more expertise. A brain surgeon gives a certain amount of time and gets a huge paycheck. We get an education, we develop our skills, we're constantly trying to learn more and more so we can get paid more money for the same amount of time. All that comes in the category called time for money. Now there's another method of earning money under that linear income, and it's called results for money. This is where most commission salespeople are, is where entrepreneurs are, business owners, real estate investors go out and say, "I'm going to buy a house, fix it up, and sell it and make a big profit." Results for money. Here's the good and here's the bad. The good is, if you're in a results for money category, you'll normally make more money than in the time for money category. But there are no guarantees. When you have more expertise and more skills, you can get paid more for the same amount of time. Somebody recently asked me, "Would you want to go on straight commission?" I said, "Well, knowing what I know today, yeah. But if I never had any experience, though, I would say I don't think so, because I'm not going to go out there not knowing what I'm doing and be strictly on a results for money income." Can you grow into these areas? Sure you can. Now, I'm sure by now you recognize results for money would probably pay more money. You need to understand that. But are there any guarantees? None. The guarantee for most people is they want and need a job. There are no guarantees on results for money. If you're a public speaker and you're paid based on selling books, CDs, or merchandise that you sold at your event, is that time for money or results for money? Results for money. If you don't sell anything, there aren't going to be any results and people aren't going to pay you. Attorneys historically charge a lot per hour. Attorneys have learned that they're shifting from working time for money to working results for money. Attorneys will say, "I tell you what, don't pay me my $200 per hour." They might say, "Give me a small retainer. I'll represent you in your lawsuit, handle all expenses, and then I'll get a percentage of what I collect for you. If I collect money for you, you pay me out of that. If I don't collect money for you, you owe me nothing." You can make more money on a results for money income, but there are no guarantees of income. Knowing it was going to cost you more money, would you be willing to pay more money if it was based on results? Heck yeah. So you look at the results for money, it has an upside, a tremendous upside. You'll normally make more money. The other type of income is called residual income. Residual income is when you own things that produce income. What if you had a whole bunch of vending machines out there? Every time somebody comes up there and sticks $1 in to get a Coca-Cola, you make money. You own assets. I own assets. I own an asset, and that asset produces money, or income producing assets. What you're looking for is understanding that there are three ways of making money. With this understanding, you can now take the second step in the financial process, and that is to learn the wealth formula. The wealth formula has four parts. I want to share with you that if you learn the wealth formula and implement it, you will be wealthy. I'm going to convince you of that by sharing this formula with you. There are four parts to the formula, but before we go into it, you need to know two fundamental principles. One, if you get anything out, you have to put something in. And two, always begin with the end in mind. And we'll get to that in the fourth part of the formula. So here we go.